don't know.
All right,
Okay, we're left.
we're live. Hey, everybody. It's me, Jeff Hayes, and it's also Sir Harmon Cooper, and
You
we're
should need a you
here.
need a sir. You're Sir Jeff Hayes. I forgot to tell you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm Sir Jeff Hayes. This is Sir Harmon Cooper. We are celebrating the release of Proxima Legends Volume 1. This is a reboot of books 1 and 2 of Fantasy Online. When did those come out? When did they originally come out?
2017, man.
2017. That was, and was that like
We were
February?
boys. We were boys.
We
Well, the
were.
first one I think was 2000 February-ish. The second one would have been later that year, and then the third one was 2018. And then we never had a fourth one, and we have a fourth one now, and Jeff has it in his hands, and that's coming out on April 1st, everyone, with the second volume.
All right. Yeah. So, also in Volume 1, the legendary Jotla is not a shithole short story. Did you end up listening to that one?
Dude, I used my own code, so yeah, I want to listen to it with my wife because my wife loves it, and so next time we go on a drive, like no, she like loves listening to Fantasy Online, and
Awesome.
so next time we go on a drive, I saved it for that because I'm like I wanted to get like the actual reader experience, and then also there should be back matter as well, uh,
Yes. Yes. There's a little
and
skit.
this you guys have to listen to this because I don't have you done that yet in any of your books?
Skits at the end.
No, appeared as yourself.
No. Maybe not. I don't think so. I don't. I think this is my debut. My debut as a character in an audiobook.
And I'm gonna
Uh,
do that for the second volume too because I think it's funny as shit.
All right, good. Yeah, it was a very Jeffception moment. Uh,
uh,
yeah, it was a lot of fun. Glad you had that idea. We whipped that up real quick, and I sent it. I even like had Aaron, our lead composer, do the music for the one part. Really had fun with that one, and
oh,
I
so
had
fun.
so much fun revisiting Hiccup and Feetwix. Like, so Jotla is not a shithole, guys. For those of you who don't know, Harmon wrote that a long time ago.
It's a prequel.
It's a prequel to Fantasy Online, and it is basically and it features an ink shadow, which, I think the ink shadows. Okay, so wait, there's one in Fantasy Online, the first one, the first
Yep,
book.
I believe, and you did that one as Snoop Dogg.
Was that Snoop Dogg the first one?
Yeah, there's a Snoop Dogg. Yeah, that's like the very first book.
No, no, no. The very first one was Oogie Boogie.
Ooh, Snoop Dogg's in one of them. He's not in the third one because I listened to that to write the fourth one. There's not actually an ink shadow in the third books, but there is going to be in the second volume because I
Okay,
definitely put an ink shadow
in
at
both
your
of them.
request based on Richard Pryor
Right.
hosting
Yeah.
Family Feud, but it's with goblins.
So I have to. I This is a very important thing. I have to do character research for these ink shadows because they are impressions, and I
Nicholas
think.
Cage's one coming up too.
Oh, I cannot wait. I cannot wait. It's a Fickless Cage.
Fickless Cage. You have to
Fickless
do
Cage. He's a
Fickless Cage,
goblin.
and then yeah, they're all goblins. Annie has to do Dolly Parton, so Dolly Ficton, and Ficra, which is Oprah, and Fickless Cage with the Nicholas Cage, and then fuck, who's the famous British soccer player, the one with the tattoos, super handsome dude? Oh, oh my god, I'm blanking right now. Come on, whoever said "we lads" knows exactly who I'm talking about. Beckham, yeah, it's
Beckham.
Fickham,
Okay.
and then there's
Fickless.
also Banksy, but he's fixie and he doesn't talk. He just writes stuff down and Hiccup fucking hates him because he's just like this pretentious asshole. Like, so it's
Yeah.
really it's probably the chapter 7 and 8 in that second volume are of the fourth book are insane.
Yeah.
Probably
Well,
the most insane things ever. But that's
so
not what we're talking about.
right, right. The ink shadow in Jotla is not a shithole. I
Mm-hmm.
did Perry Farrell's voice.
Oh my god, that's awesome.
Yeah. I always wanted to do an impression of him. I really like his voice. I refreshed myself before I narrated this one. So the original narration of Jotla is not a shithole was done. Maybe it was the
2018, a
was it
live
2018?
stream.
Yep,
Yeah, it would have been
yep.
2018, a live stream.
It was very late at night. I was about to get. I was like, you know what? This flight to Thailand. It's my first time going to the homeland for me.
Oh,
Never
nice.
never visited Thailand before this. But the flight was really early in the morning.
Oh
So I was
God.
like, oh, I guess I'm just going to stay up and get really wasted. And I also did that while narrating Jotley is a shithole. Is not a shithole. Sorry, excuse me.
It is not a shithole.
And that was a really fun time. So if you guys search YouTube for Jotla is not a shithole, you'll probably find that video. It's still up there. You will see me and my relative baby face from back then. I mean, you know, I I feel like I've aged a lot in the past 5 years. So yeah, it'll be fun to look at, guys.
And it's just a kind of, it's a funny, ridiculous story too. It's like but it actually has a purpose too. So that's not just, that's
Yeah.
the thing about the whole Fantasy Online series is at first glance, you're like, what, this not makes no sense really. But then once you get into it, you realize like, okay, so it's a cyberpunk story. It has all the elements that of like a normal fantasy, but it has these wild offbeat characters. Hiccup being one of them, but he's also like a pastiche for just so many different people, and
Yeah.
it's explained why that is. Not really a spoiler in the fourth book. Sophia is going to explain it as Jeff. The reason he's like that is because the programmers who made the goblins of Tritania basically had an AI feed all of pop culture into them.
Ah.
And so he makes no sense. Like at some points, like he's just, and then of course Sophia is the one who turned him on to saying "fic" instead of cursing "fuck," which the goblins, as Jeff knows, have just taken this to the next level. 2% of the book I just sent Jeff is the word "fic." That is how. But it's in context. It's every, I try to do every sentence that Hiccup says. It has to be part of it somehow. So if it's like, well, I got to fick and go there to pick up the fickin' bag. Well, the bag is ficking over there. It just becomes like part of the dialogue.
I don't know if Sophia had not cast that spell and they were saying fuck again, fuck instead.
Richie,
I don't know if it would be as annoying or more annoying than
it
them
wouldn't be
saying
as
fick again.
funny, I don't think,
Maybe it would not. Maybe not.
because with fic I can combine it with so many words.
Yeah.
Like if you're like fuck twat, it'd be like, oh, this is. But with that, it makes it just slightly different.
Yeah.
Um,
It's almost like they use it even more than they would out of spite for the fact that they can't say fuck.
it's fun to write. I had you'll appreciate this, Jeff. I had a reader. She's been reading my books maybe 5 or 6 years, and she emailed me because I sent out the ARCs for Proxima Legends,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, if you've read it, leave reviews. And she read it all again, and she was like, do you just go like I just find myself at night from her email. I find myself at night just saying the word "fic," like going around and saying it. And it's like, you must say it all the time. And I'm like, actually, I mean, I'll jokingly, I say it to Jeff in instant messages, but like, I don't ever use this word in my real life. Like, if you met me, I wouldn't be like, hey, what the fic is up? Like,
Well,
it's just for this character.
that's because it was never your job to actually say it.
Yeah, exactly.
And I will say that yes, I use fic. Maybe not as much as Hiccup, but I do say fic. It has become a part of my lexicon.
We're gonna have some fic gear in the future.
Yeah, I actually, well, I still have a fic button
I'm
on
gonna have a
my.
fic shirt soon. My
Oh,
merch
nice.
shop just opened. It just opened as of today on my website, harmoncooper.com. And we don't have the fic shirt up yet with the Hiccup chibi, but it's coming. It's coming.
Okay, great.
There's
So
also insta kills up there.
oh, nice. Do you have the do you
Just
have the
harmoncooper.com, and it says shop at
Harmon?
the top.
Okay, great. Yeah,
Yeah.
the
We
link
just
up
we
there.
we just got it up. Geneva. This is all Geneva. Geneva just got it up basically today, and we just started populating it. There's a morning assassin cup that has it's like
Oh,
it's not like this. It's not like this one. It's a cup with a coffee in it and a dagger sticking out of it, and it says morning assassin. It looks cool.
oh, nice. Yeah, you sent me one of those, and the Fickers chipped it when they shipped it.
Mine broke, but you probably can't see. I glued it back together,
Oh,
so
nice.
it's so sketchy. Like I have it in my morning coffee, and I'm like, one of these days, like I'm gonna get a third-degree burn because of this fucking glass cup. But oh well, say la
Or a
vie.
very deep cut that you have to just rush to the hospital to have stitched up.
Well, I'll live stream it if that's the case. Like I
Please
deserve
do.
this. I
Please do.
deserve this.
So,
um,
Fantasy Online was the series that I started working on with you. Right, it was. Do you know how many books deep we were in feedback loop at the time?
I would say we were 3 or 4.
3 or 4 deep. Okay, so
Scott
it was
has that cups.
about halfway through what we finished feedback loop. What like I stopped at volume 6 or book 6 of feedback loop a long time ago. I want to say it was 2018 or 2019
Yeah.
when that one came out, and like at the time it was just like I don't know, man. Like I'd love to keep going, but
Hmm.
people weren't picking it up, and so that's why we brought it back because we number one, I was happy to have an excuse to get book 7 and 8 done because that had been on my back burner for a long time because of all the I was doing all sorts of other stuff that was potentially doing better. But then when we collected 1 through 4 and collected 5 through 8, I was ecstatic because it was a really good reason for people to get into it. Us collecting it, and
Yeah.
I think the real problem why people weren't buying it in the first place was just the length, right? I think book
It was
one was like
short.
4.5 hours, right?
It was under 7 for sure. It was like it wasn't that long. It was only like 45,000 words.
Yeah, yes.
Um,
If it was 45,000 words, then it was 4.5 hours,
and
probably.
this is mostly
So
because too, when I wrote these were before it kind of has was established what an audiobook should be or the length or anything like that. It was just how the book went, and I already had the second one going at that point.
yeah,
So
so
I love that we have the collection now though, because it's something easy to recommend to people, and it fits into so many boxes. Today, literally on the Reddit Lit RPG page, someone was like, "Is there anyone who's like written a book where like someone like can use an inventory list and like access a stone and drop it on someone?" And I'm like, "Yeah, there is very much a book that someone does that."
yeah, and so it was cool like I think that maybe at the time you were like, okay, I'm writing fantasy online, but I want to make it long enough that people are going to be more interested in it. And it was cool. It was like it was more of a team book. If Feedback Loop was Captain America,
Hmm.
Fantasy Online is X-Men,
Hmm.
right?
Exactly.
And everyone in the Marvel comics, all this other superheroes look up to Cap,
Yeah.
and so that's kind of the same way with the Fantasy Online guys, especially Feetwix. Really loved how many different characters you gave me in that one to like focus on. Feedback Loop. There were extras here and there to do fun voices for, but it was mainly the Quantum Show. But
Hmm.
like Fantasy Online, not only do we have the straight man to play off of, who was Marbles. I can't remember
Ryuk.
Ryuk,
Yeah, yeah.
and then we have the two Tweedledee and Tweedledum. We have Hiccup and Feetwix, and
Hmm.
they work so well against each other. Like
Perfectly with each other.
Feetwix is like very bright and positive and having a good time, and he's like the best ad sponsor you could possibly ask for, and that's one of the best things to do in that series, as well as the ad reads that Feetwix
Hmm.
did. That actually helped me get faster and faster because that was one thing I really wanted to do, is like make sure that the ad reads were almost too fast to understand, just almost,
Dude, you
so
are
that
gonna have such a blast on the fourth book
yeah, yeah,
because it gets even. I do even it go crazier because now for those that like are like trying to figure out what we're talking about here. So the first 3 books were written and recorded like by 2018. Well, Jeff and I have both like matured in our everything since then, including our beards. And so I wrote the fourth book in November to January of this year, like January, actually like last month. So I've had like 5 years to develop these voices and style. So it really comes out in the fourth book, but I also had to blend it with the third book because you don't want to read the third book when you're listening to it, and then the fourth one is like this is different feel. You know what I'm saying? But with Features ad reads, he starts, which you'll love, he starts to crack a little bit in the fourth book because he's making a shit ton of money now, and he's just sick of it. And so I also started to do really long, like based on those commercials from different medications,
oh
like
yeah,
the
yeah.
after, side effects may blah blah blah. I did some of the longest ones that are just
Oh,
like
I
all
can't
these
wait.
different side effects, and so you definitely speed it up because it'll be so funny.
It's one of my favorite challenges is doing those. Doing those disclaimers at the end. I'm pretty sure there were a few in books 2 and 3
Hmm.
that I had to do that for. Gosh,
Yeah, these are definitely longer ones though.
okay, okay.
and
I'm
um
looking forward
and
to
it's
it
kind of
now.
cool because like if we talk about like progression too, as like a listener or a reader, if you start from the first book, you see Feetwix go from like he's just like his career's blossoming over the course of a short amount of time to like 12 million viewers at one during one stream.
Uh-huh.
So he's managing all this stuff. What's going to be really fun is the short story I'm doing for the second volume is from Feetwix's perspective. So Ryuk isn't in that; it's from his perspective, and so you kind of get like a behind the scenes look at what he's doing, and also then there's Hiccup.
Yes. Who I don't know. Does he change? I haven't pre-read. I haven't pre-read book 4.
Dude, you
So
shouldn't. You should just enjoy it because it's like you'll fall right back in. It's totally in the pocket. You've actually read the beginning of book 4 though. That didn't change it, except it just got. We did that
I
in
see.
Austin, if you
Oh
remember.
wow. Okay.
So it was, if you remember, it's Ryuk wakes up and Hiccup's in Tokyo, and Hiccup's standing there naked, and Ryuk is just like God, and so that gets so elaborate and funny in such a quick amount of time. But Hiccup does not change. However, something changes about Hiccup, which I think is one of the funny, will be really funny for you. He gets rich, and uh, yeah, Hiccup rich is a really funny. It's something that should be enjoyable.
Yeah, and something that by nature should never happen. I think that it was a mistake for the world to have allowed Hiccup to get rich. This is probably one of the biggest natural disasters to have ever occurred. So I'm really looking forward to that. So yeah, I just made sure I do have book 4 in my inbox right now. So
Yes.
I can get like I'm taking a little bit of a narration break this week to catch up on some other things, and then so that means Monday, this coming Monday, is when I'm going to start narrating book 4 of Fantasy
Perfect.
Online. So everybody, watch out. Go subscribe to the Soundbooth Theater newsletter. Go subscribe to Harmon Cooper's newsletter. He'll know as well. And I will tell you guys when I start the cold reads for book 4. That'll be on Monday. I'm going to aim for 10 a.m. Central for a live stream. And then I think
Awesome.
how many words we got in this book?
So the book itself, book 4, is 78,000,
78,000. So
and
that
then the
means I'm
short story that's attached to it is going to be about 13 to 15,000. So
okay.
altogether around 90.
All right. So that means that I'm probably going to do 3 cold reads: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And so you guys will be able to see me work this stuff out live. I'll be cold reading it.
Oh, it'll be so fun.
Man, actually, this will be one of the better cold reads to come see because I'll be doing Feetwix's ad reads. I'll be trying to do them as fast as possible. And whenever I do that stuff, I don't cheat. I don't record bits and pieces when it's something really challenging like that. I make sure to read it all the way through and get it in a single take. So I'm definitely gonna stumble a few times and not get it right, but like you'll
It'll
you'll
be
be able to,
funny as hell.
yeah, you guys will have a lot of fun watching me do it live.
And those of you watching it too, so you should know. So this is literally, I was joking with Jeff today. We've been live streaming like together on channels for like 6 years now, because
Yeah.
we started in about maybe longer. We started in about January, February 2016 with Feedback Loop 1. So when I write, especially, and you'll get it with the fourth book. When I write these characters, I write them with how Jeff is going to sound reading them, and that's the only thing that I don't like about the Proxima Legends, is that like it is better in audio than print, in my opinion, because it's designed for that. It's designed for to like, and you'll see it especially with the fourth book. It's designed with all these different voices, all these different sounds, all these things happening, that you're like, okay, this is what it's supposed to actually feel like. So for those of you that read it and stuff, I'm always amazed, because I feel like reading it would be very different having like Hiccup in my head versus like hearing someone saying it, like that kind of thing. But I write with it with you in mind. So if I'm
Well,
writing a Feetwix ad read, I think of like, I'm Feetwix, like, and I start reading it like that and like just go for it.
yeah, yeah. Well, I that always makes me feel good when authors say that. But it does make me curious though what's going on in other people's heads when they're reading Hiccup. I wish that there was some way for us to like
Oh my God, I
connect
wish
some sort of transmitter to a person's
some neuron.
skull, and yeah, and then they read, and then we see a picture or we hear a voice or something. I'd really love to know how different it
Do
is
it, Jay.
from my interpretation. Actually, I don't know if you remember this. My first interpretation of Hiccup, I gave him a Cockney accent.
Oh shit.
Yeah, and you're like,
Oh, that
I
would.
don't know, that didn't work. And I was like,
And
okay,
then you
because I,
found this voice. You found this voice, like
yeah,
at
yeah.
the depth of your soul.
Yeah. Hiccup's voice was not the was not a squared like straight away, hole in one there. I had to work on it. I had to figure it out. And to this day, I think he's the only character that I consciously try and keep my teeth clenched while I'm doing his voice.
You'll see that when Jeff does the reads I gave him just a little bit here.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
this, yeah. It's the way Hiccup speaks. But I think some of them you were first take, like you got, like Spewgorge makes total sense. And you know
Oh
what?
yeah.
Spewgorge makes more sense now? He makes more sense if you've ever watched Letterkenny. So if you've watched,
I still haven't seen that show.
okay, dude, when you watch it, you'll get it. So in Letterkenny, and very briefly, sometimes they talk about hockey a lot because it's Canada.
Yeah.
They have these two hockey players, and they're always like in the locker room or in the bathroom, and there's a guy that's sitting on the toilet behind the door, and he just shouts shit out at them because they'll be like blah blah blah, and they'll be like fuck you blah blah blah. Like this guy just shouts shit out, and that's exactly what Spewgorge does. So if Letterkenny makes sense to you, like because that's exactly how I play him off against Hiccup too.
Yeah, I imagine I would love Letterkenny. I mean, like I'm
It's
already a
it's
huge
it's real
you
cerebral.
you'd
Making
probably
sure, yeah, yeah.
I think you guys would probably all guess that I do love Trailer Park Boys. That's the first thing that comes to mind when I hear about Letterkenny. So,
Dude, I saw them live. It was awesome.
oh man,
I
I
came
bet it
back from
was.
Asia. I came back from Asia, and you met my friend Jason. Well, I came back. It was like 2012, and he's like, "Dude, I got us tickets to see Trailer Park Boys live. We got to go." And I'm like, "Live?" Dude, they were all there. Bubbles, man. They had Leahy on the live stream, dude. It was tight.
Oh man. Okay. I've got to see them live. I hope they do it again sometime.
I don't know,
But
man. Yeah, but yeah, it has
they're
that
getting up
vibe.
there in age. They're getting up there in age,
Yeah,
aren't they? And then Leahy's gone,
yeah.
unfortunately. May he
That's a
rest in peace.
RIP, dude. This goes out
Yeah.
to Leahy. I'm drinking
Um,
right here. Let the liquor tell it, Randy.
All right. So, okay. So, which one should I read first? So, we're gonna do some. I'm gonna do some cold reads of. What are these again? These are scenes from the book.
Great.
From
There's
the next book.
a scene from the second book of the Mitherfikers battling penguins. That's a pretty wild one. And then there's the other scene is from the short story of the second book, and that is Hiccup talking about the Fick Vengers, which he teases up the entire book. He needs to tell them, and everyone's just like, "Shut up! We don't care about the Fick Vengers." He finally gets a chance to tell Quantum. So it depends on if you want to
Oh
do
boy.
Quantum first or you want to do the team together. I
Let
don't know
let's
which one would.
let's do let's save quantum for last. Okay,
Okay,
so you said this clip here. You said book 2, but I think you mean book 4.
exactly. I mean, volume
Yeah,
two.
yeah. Volume 2.
Volume
Okay,
two,
so
and this is once they've reached Ultima Thule. So that will mean something to some of the fickers out there. But once they've reached Ultima Thule, it's a snowy
right.
place, and of course they got to fuck with penguins.
Okay, so the penguins one is the one. All right, so I'm gonna go clean my glasses real quick, and I'll be good to go.
And I'm going to show you books. So this is Proxima Legends. Look how big this book is. I'm going to use it as my pillow tonight, I think. And then I'm going to send it to someone. I'm supposed to give this to someone too. We were also talking about the feedback loop. That's right here. This was the reboot that we did of the feedback loop. My favorite part is if you can see the cover, his chest, Dream Team.
Such a
Awesome.
great.
There's Quantum
So
right here.
I love how this is the first real image of quantum
Mm-hmm.
that shows his face.
Yes. And Jeff, this is all Jeff. This was Jeff's idea because I did not know what Quantum would look like. So he helped me. He helped me tell the artist what we wanted him to look like.
Yeah, I keep forgetting. So I'm very bad at remembering actors' names.
I'm
But
as well.
the that dude.
They're
Okay,
big books. Yes, you're right. Look at these
he
fucking
played
books.
he played the Punisher at one point. It's like early 2000s. Um, when he played the Punisher, the one with the dude in the Where's Waldo shirt that he stabs, and he actually stabbed him. That actually, I don't know if you guys have seen that movie,
I
but
didn't know
like
that.
it was not a prop knife, and he didn't know that. It was mistakenly a real knife, and the dude stabbed this huge the huge guy, and he didn't even flinch. He fucking played through it. It's amazing. Um, Kevin Nash, yeah, that's right. Kevin Nash is who he stabbed. I can't remember Tom Jane. Tom Jane, that's his name.
Yes, that's him. I love
Yeah,
the
yeah.
bulletproof vest. And Dream Team, for those of you that don't know, means Dream Recovery Extraction and Management Team. So it is the team that Quantum's on. They go into digital worlds and free people who are trapped in those worlds. And
Right.
they're in a neuronal dream space. So when you say Dream Team, it actually has like a double connotation, which is really cool too.
All right.
But this
Here
is what we're
goes.
talking about, Proxima Legends. This is Jeff first time he's seeing parts of the second book. I'll set up the next one once we get to the short story. And this is the Mitherfickers fighting penguins. And Jeff said he's going to do some pretty interesting voices for the penguins once we get to it. So it'll be fun.
Oh, right, right, right. I remember. Okay, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, all right. This is my first look at book 4 of Fantasy
Yeah.
Online.
For
I will
volume
be
two.
volume. This is from volume 2. Volume 1 is now available. Go get that shit off of Audible.
Get it. And volume two is out on April 1st, and that's not an April Fool's Day joke. So it's
It
coming.
is not. We have a separate April Fool's Day joke planned, so don't worry, guys. We will get you. As they walk beside one another, Ryuk and Enwei's hands touch for a moment. Enwei, is that
The chromatic mage, she's from Mexico, and she hasn't been
right,
vetted properly, and Hiccup
right?
doesn't like her.
She's
But
from book 3, right?
she is from book 2 and 3. She first
Oh,
appears in
2.
book
Okay.
2. In 3, she joins the team and she meets some of the characters from Last Warrior, and
I forget.
gets
I forget what does Hiccup call her?
Elf. No, he calls her Elfie.
Elfie. That's right.
Yeah. Zaina he calls Liz. Marbles is Ryuk. Beatrix he calls Twixie. I think that's
Right,
only
right.
ones we do. Yeah.
Their fingers clasped together as they linger like this. Ryuk thinking of the kiss they shared earlier. Unfortunately, Hiccup plows through them so he can catch up with Feetwix, who is at the front of the group. Get a fickin' room, losers! Ryuk resists the urge to equip his slingshot and peg the goblin in the back of the head with a sword marble. Don't let him get to you. I'll try not to, Ryuk tells Enwei. We should probably equip our steam packs, Feetwix says. I don't know why Doc had us spawn so far away from the battle. Doc's in this one? Yes.
Dude, everyone is in. We're all in, including, I'm not going to say Francis Euphoria, but everyone's in.
Okay, all right. We can get
He's
there a
not in
lot
this
faster.
scene. Sorry. He's not in this
Okay,
exact scene,
Doc's
but he's
not.
in the
All
book.
right.
Okay.
All right. Not a bad idea, Ryuk says as they start over a series of hills. He doesn't mind walking, but he knows that time is of the essence. He spots something heading in their direction. Penguins, a whole cluster of them, slide up and down the hills on their white bellies, making a beeline toward the Mitherfickers. Fick! We've got company! Hiccup summons the axe that Dirty Dave gave him. What the fick, people? He asks, after he notices that no one else has gone for their weapon. Relax, Hiccup, they're just penguins, Feetwix says. My fans love penguins. Everyone loves penguins, they're so cute. Yes, they are, he says as the penguins arrive. They don't look too friendly, and once Ryuk sees one of their stats, he gets the feeling that a battle is likely. Okay, I can't remember. I didn't do a crazy voice for the AI, did I? I just narrated,
No.
right?
Yeah. We
Emperor
double checked
Penguin.
that, but no. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Emperor Penguin, level 40. HP, 1,399 out of 1,399. Attack 130. Magic attack 9. Defense 213. Magic defense 122. Luck 21. There are at least a dozen of the penguins, with more sliding up and down the hills, kicking up snow as they make their way toward the Mitherfickers. Hey, penguins! Feetwick says to the first penguin to approach. My fans are loving this, he tells the Mitherfickers. Who wants to take a selfie? Human, the Emperor Penguin says, his voice exactly what Ryuk imagined a penguin would sound like.
I did this for you.
The bird is absolutely stacked, even if he has a bit of a gut. He turns his head slightly to show that one of his eyes is light blue with a scar running through it.
Oh, shit.
You are trespassing. Trespassers! Trespassers! Some of the other penguins murmur.
The fick we are. First of all, if anyone is fickin' trespassing, it's you,
Hiccup says.
In case you didn't know, you are in the presence of Thulian and Jotlin royalty. Now get the fick out of the way, lest you wind up chopped and served cold with a side of Jotlian potato salad, you fick-faced chode basket.
The Emperor Penguin... The Emperor Penguin tilts his head to the goblin. The others behind him do the same. Jotlian royalty? There is no royalty in that trash mine of a city.
Trash mine?
Hiccup removes his oval sunglasses as dramatically as possible.
Oh,
He
by the way,
shakes his
he's wearing sunglasses right now because he's rich. So he's like,
Oh,
he's
right,
gone.
right,
He's,
right.
he's
Of course, you
gone.
have to wear
He's
it.
gone
Once
off.
you're
Yeah,
rich. Once you're rich, you have to wear sunglasses as much as possible. He shakes his head and pushes his hood back. He hops off Wolf and takes a step closer to the Emperor Penguin, the other penguins all bristling behind him and murmuring to themselves.
The fick you just say about Jotla?
You are trespassing. Trespassers! A female penguin says. More start to join in. Trespassers! Trespassers! Hiccup snorts up a load of snot and spits it at the lead penguin's webbed feet.
Fick you! Fick trespassing! Fick ice! Fick snow! Fick birds! Fick snowbirds in every sense of the term! Fick birds that are too fat to frickin' fly! Fick anything that is short and stout! Fick waiting in line! Fick bank interest rates! And fick you! In that frickin' order!
Damn it, Ryuk thinks. What makes all this worse is that all they really need to do is leave the territory. It wouldn't be that hard. They could also just spawn back at the start of the lake and fly from there. I think what my goblin friend is trying to say here is that you may want to rethink your position on trespassing. Feetwix parts his jacket to reveal that he's packing heat on both sides, a handgun on his left and a shotgun on the right. Ryuk clears his throat. Maybe there's another solution. Zaina draws all 4 of her blades. We will pass through here, and we will be done with it. We promise not to disturb your territory. Is that so? Asks the Emperor Penguin. All of you need to shut your mouths. Especially you, Thulian whore. Zaina steps in front of Feetwix just as he raises his weapon. Let's try to handle this diplomatically. Nah, not happening, babe. Step aside. In the end, it isn't Feetwix who gets the opening shot in. It is Hiccup, the goblin tossing one of his tomahawks right into the head of the Emperor Penguin. 200 minus 215 HP. Critical hit! Bring it on, you birdie fix! The fight that brings out... Oh, wait, is that... That's Hiccup.
Bring it on, you birdie fix!
The fight that breaks out is sudden, fast, and stupid. The penguins don't have weapons, but they do have beaks, which they used to their advantage. They slip and slide toward the Mitherfickers as Ryuk and his team lay down waves of damage. Bang, bang! Click, click, boom! Insta-kill! Feetwix fires shots left and right, as does Ryuk with his marble shotgun.
Fick!
Hiccup is suddenly in the middle of the mayhem, part of a pile of penguins alongside Wolf. Down feathers everywhere, the Tagvornian beast insta-kills at least 3 penguins before Enway is able to fry some of them with her chromatic power.
Insta-kill!
Minus 168 HP. Minus 249 HP.
Critical hit!
Ryuk's sword marble is followed up by an explosive one that sends more feathers into the air.
Aye!
Zaina is a whirlwind of pain, the Thulian spinning so fast that all Ryuk can see is a splash of her red hair and trails of blood and feathers.
Where's their leader?
Feetwix shouts. He pushes away from the fight and equips his steam pack, which instantly appears on his back. The Swede takes to the air, gritting his teeth as he scans the penguins that continue to slide into the fight. Ryuk is just looking up at him when something on Feetwix's face changes. "Incoming!" he says as he points toward the east. Is it Ryuk or Feetwix who says that?
Feetwix.
Okay. "Incoming!" he says as he points toward the east. Hiccup
he's in the
clears. Gotcha. Hiccup clears through a few more penguins and finally gets a view of the enemies approaching.
Fick! Those are some huge fickin' penguins!
Once Ryuk sees what the goblin is referring to, he takes a big step back. The penguins on the horizon are towering in stature. Ryuk estimates that each is about 10 meters tall. They're robust as well, their bodies shaped like bowling pins. As Ryuk's enhanced vision kicks in, he spots something orange and furry moving along the ground. "Grifty," he whispers, his words breaking through to Hiccup.
The fick you just say, Marbolito? Grifty is with the fickin' fat-ass penguins? Fick! We're so ficked!
"No, we're not, Goblin." Zaina flourishes both of her swords. "Let's end this now and move on. The knights are waiting for us."
Yes.
Oh my god.
Yes.
It's gonna
be crazy.
Harmon has been telling me all about Grifty. I'm fucking so stoked to play him. But like at the same time I'm scared because this is a character that I'm honestly not sure what to do with his voice because the inspiration for him doesn't talk. So this is gonna be quite a challenge.
The inspiration is Gritty, the Philadelphia Flyers mascot. But in this book, he is a goblin eldritch horror named Grifty. And he mostly, and I'm not even joking, just goes around shoving drugs up people's asses and making them harder for the Mythifickers to fight. And so Hiccup hates him and is scared of him as his Spewgorge, but everyone else thinks that at first that he's not a big deal. But they soon find out that he's continually fueling their enemies. And so they're like, we got to get Grifty. And that's what the short story for volume 2 is about. It's called Grifty Must Die. And it's about going to get Grifty. Galdrin Eldritch horror and a horror, probably too. Both, a little bit of both.
Probably a little both. Okay, so I tried to send. Hold on. The teaser. I think
Gritty looks like he's on meth. Yeah, that's why Gritty is. That's why I had to use him. Someone shout out some Gritty gifs in the comments. I was like, this would be a perfect villain. He's a bad villain too because he doesn't really do anything. That's what makes this series so special because of characters like this. Like he's not like a bad villain like Ryuk's brother is. For those of you who have already read the first or are reading it, he's just a demon.
Oh man, I'm
hairy orange demon.
Over the weekend, I'm gonna have to listen again to Fantasy Online 3. Probably.
Yeah, listen to 3 or just to skim through it because I listened to it all right before I wrote this. So it's because I had to think of it as like this is a volume 2. These are together. So people listening to this and reading are going to go straight through. They're not going to, it's not coming out months later. It's like coming out at the same time. So it I think it's a good. It makes the third book even better because the third book for those. Well, I'm not going to spoil it, but it adds to that. Some of the things because there's a bunch of roller coaster rides in the third book. There's like
I remember the third one had some pretty emotional moments.
Hiccups crying at some
Yeah.
point. Well, that's kind of normal.
He cries more often than he would like to admit. But I remember book one. Book 1 opens really emotionally.
Really
book 1,
strong.
the opening is very intense, and like there's a character who I guess I'm trying to remember how it goes. Like she's gone, and then there's an RPC that right,
Hmm.
an RPC
Yeah,
replaces
yeah, you're
her.
right. So he
Right.
watches her die right at the beginning, and it looks like
Yeah.
she's committed suicide, but it has no. That doesn't seem like
Right.
something she would do.
Right.
And then he logs into the digital world to meet her RPC. So if you guys don't know what an RPC is, I came up with more terms than anyone should for writing this. But RPC is a reborn player character. So if someone has died in the real world, they've had like a digital reconstruction of them in a neuronal dream space, and so it's kind of like this is how people continue to live on. So some of the characters, even in that are in the feedback loop by this point, because it's a lot later, have passed, but their RPCs continue to live on.
Yeah, and
He goes in, but he goes in to check the RPC, and Hiccup is laying there with a knife sticking out of his gut. The guild hall has been destroyed, and he's just like yoy, yoy. And then Ryuk's like, God damn it. So it punches you in the face, the opening of volume 1.
yeah.
The second chapter, it's kind of like this weird comedic relief. Just stick with it because it will totally continue to deliver.
Yeah, man, I'm actually looking forward to this weekend and listening to book 3. So
Yeah.
and dude, here's the thing: that for me, it's really painful to go back and listen to old stuff because
I get it, dude.
I've improved so much, and now if I
I'm there with you. One of the things I changed, though, that hopefully you'll appreciate, I think you will, from the third to the fourth book, is I noticed in listening to the third book, I used too many dialogue tags, and I'm like, I kept hearing you say like Hiccup says, Spewgorge, and I'm like, dude, if someone's yelling Fick and Spewy's not in the scenes, like 9 times out of 10, it's going to be Hiccup. A reader by this point knows that, and whenever Feetwick says it, Hiccup gets on him for cultural appropriation. So
right,
like
yes.
yeah, so there's a lot less of that in this one, and
Okay.
you'll intuit it when you get to it because
Yeah,
like
well,
it'll make sense.
but also since then, I've gotten more liberal about removing dialogue tags anyway
Okay,
while I narrate,
if
but
it's
like
in the way.
I think that authors should kind of think about that anyway, even if their narrator isn't the
Quantum,
kind of narrator who does who does different voices and stuff. It's important to write your characters in a way that you don't need dialogue tags, right? It's important to get your characters fleshed out enough that your reader who has been used to experiencing these characters will instinctively know who's talking just by the way they speak and just by their sentence structure or the words they use. I think it's generally a good practice to get to a point where you can write a story and have minimal dialogue tags or use cool tricks. Like one of my favorite things that authors will do with dialogue tags is, or instead of dialogue tags, is to like say this character did this thing, right? This character, John sits down, dialogue.
yeah. So you use
Right.
action to do it, and I do that a lot now as well.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, it's just because it's all empty. Like he said, they said, Josh said, Dave said. That's empty shit that you don't need in your book and that doesn't tell you anything. You're just clarifying a thing that's already happened, and it makes for a break in rhythm as you're reading. Okay, so this excerpt is from Grifty Must Die, the short story that's part of Proxima Legends Volume 2. So this is from the short story.
and Quantum is in this one. I saw Josh just mention Quantum. It's not even a spoiler at this point. Quantum is in the second volume, and it's really awesome when he comes in.
He comes
in as the hero basically in the third book.
In book 3, that's right, yeah.
And and we're on book 4, he's in there now. So he's not always with them, but when he is, it's a really cool dynamic. And I think you'll see what I've done. I've really found his dynamic as not first person, but third person Quantum, meaning like other people observing him.
Right.
They're still, getting snippy with Sophia. They're still like how he's always, boisterous about himself, but he also really likes Feetwix because Feetwix likes him. So he's kind of like, oh, it's my protege. This guy likes me. I like him,
Yeah, yeah.
And he likes the goblins too because they're entertaining.
Right. Yeah, he would. He probably enjoys killing them too.
This one hasn't been edited yet, but it's pretty clean. It should be pretty clean.
Okay. As they walk, Hiccup finally tells them the story of the Fick Vengers.
And that was Fick Enger's Civil War. Now, Iron Fick is dead or some shit, and that leaves the other Fick Vengers to regroup. Mostly the same cast, though. Brad Fick, Leonardo DiCaprio, Fick Stain Hoffman, Benedict Cumberfick, Fickney Portier, Jodie Fixter. Oh, Fick. Who else, Spewy?
Miley Fickris, Samuel L. Fixon, Fick Van Dyke, Marlon Ficto, Jack Fickelson, Nicole Fickman, Fixell Washington, and Tom Fix.
Shit, that's fickin' right. Can't forget Roberto. That's fickin' right. Can't forget Robert DeFickro, Catherine Fickburn, Meryl Fick, Fickwin Phoenix, Clint Fickwood, Ian McFicklin. Wait,
who was on the team again? Quantum asks, the famous gamer clearly egging Hiccup and Spew Gorge on. The content itself is great. Feetwix's followers more interested than they should be about the way goblins pastiche popular media.
It is a verb.
Okay, I was like, okay.
Yeah, you can use it as a verb. It's a weird one.
I've never seen it. Okay. Actors or characters? Spew Gorge asks. Characters. What are the superhero names? There's Spider Fick, Fick Widow, Doctor Strange Fick, Fick Panther, Captain Jotla, Fick Eye, the Fick, that big ass Ficker. There's also Ant Ficker. Hiccup laughs. It's so funny when he ficks ants. He's a real Ant Ficker, that's for fickin' sure. Hiccup farts a response.
Sorry, Wolfie. Where the fick was I?
Is there a Thor? Quantum asks. Who? Both Spew Gorge and Hiccup ask. Thor wields a big hammer. Quantum frowns. I can't believe I don't have Thor's hammer in my list. I need to talk to Dirty Dave about that. I have Captain America's shield, item 68. He summons the shield, which appears on his back. You mean Captain Jotla? Spew Gorge asks, the smaller goblin genuinely confused. Sure.
What's this about a ficker who wields a big hammer?
Hiccup still looks confused.
Nope, that ficker isn't in the Fick Vengers as far as I know. Maybe he's, whatever Fickless Cage is doing next? Also, I want Iron Fick to come back, preferably as an orc chippy.
Fick no.
What do you mean, Fick no, Spewy? That shit would be fickin' tight, and you know it. Fickin' Fick Vengers needs more orc chippy representation. All we got is fickin' Fick Widow, and she's too crazy for my taste.
My favorite is Spider Fick.
I'm so sick of that fickin' Spider Fick backstory.
Hiccup equips a healing potion and takes a drink from it. He bends forward and lets Wolf lick some of it up as well.
I mean, for Fick's sakes. For Fick's fickin' sake, how many fickin' Fick boys are they going to have play that role telling the same fickin' story over and over again? Auntie Fick, Uncle Fick, I get it. Peter Ficker is a little nerdy bitch in the beginning, then a spider bites his chalupa, and it gives him the power to swing from buildings using his... Wait, hold on. Goblins think the spider bit his... chalupa? What the hell is that?
Rocket. It's goblin slang for male genitals. Both Spew Gorge and Hiccup look at Quantum like he's crazy.
Any fickin' who? Someone enroll Trenchcoat over here in a fickin' sex ed class so we can continue having our adult discussions, Fick.
Hiccup shakes his head in disappointment.
Spider Fick. So he can shoot spider webs from his starfish, which he uses to swing from buildings and stink blast enemies.
That may be one of the more demented things I've ever heard, Quantum tells the goblin.
Yeah, it's
Okay, you got my whistle wet here, dude.
And that'll be a little bit more cleaned up, but yeah, it's a few tongue twisters there.
A few of them.
And also for, like Emily pointed out, Benedict Cumberfick, all of the names that I could spell in a way that also have like a double entendre basically are that way. Like Sydney Portier is like knee is in like your actual knee. Benedict is actually like Ben a Dick. So there's a but like Ant-Man.
Ant-Man, yeah.
Ant-Man is actual the word aunt as in like, you know.
Yeah, I wish I'd caught that earlier.
Yeah.
Let's see.
So there's a lot like that. That's it should be fun for readers that are this far into the dementedness.
Fickless Cage is still my favorite, but like Wait, where's the Sidney Poitier one? What did you
It's at
call
the,
it?
it's when they're listing actors' names. Fickney. Oh.
Fickney Poitier. Benedict Cumberfick. Okay, so this is I'm really okay. I'm on.
You're on this, dude.
I'm like all pumped up for this now. So
It's so dumb.
so volume 1, guys. Don't forget to go
Volume
pick it
1
up.
is out right now, as in like just released today. Print, ebook, audio.
Oh,
It's
there you go.
really wild. It's so wild that because we did it so long ago, we have forgotten how wild it is. But it's wild. And I'm so excited for new people who are coming into the genre who have come in after 2017 to find this and be like, what?
So I'm hoping that this series does really well because Feedback Loop, again, when we revitalized that last year, I was surprised at how many people jumped on board. It was so satisfying because Feedback Loop has always been one of my favorites and always one that broke my heart that people didn't check it out, and so it just got a second life, and so that made me really happy. I hope this happens with Fantasy Online too. And one thing that I found really cool about this relaunch is that you sort of rebranded to Proxima Legends. You
Yes,
know, and dude, I think that there's a future here
I agree.
for these characters, for the Proxima Legends. I would like to see like some kind of continuation of these characters and Quantum. You know, the fact that
The
Quantum's in
whole
there.
thing. Well, they're the
All
legends,
those
and that's the whole thing. And that's, I think, when people get to the second volume in April, it really makes sense what's going on here because it's like now it's a place for all of them to be together. So
right.
there's Quantum, there's Morning Assassin, Dirty Days, there, Doc's there, Francis Euphoria, Sophia. And then there's all like the new characters as well. Then there's people from the Last Warrior of Unigaya.
Yeah.
And it's a vibe. It's really cool when they're all working together. There are very different levels, right? Because the Mitherfickers are a guild that are all around level 35 at the end of the second volume,
Okay.
whereas the Dream Team, which is Quantum's group, they're all
like maxed.
level 100.
Yeah,
but they like them, and so they bring them along with them and stuff, and so it creates some really fun dynamics. Or they give them, you guys go steal that portal, we'll go deal with like the bigger bad guys over here.
Right. Yeah, I like the possibilities of the dynamic between the two different teams, like so the Mitherfickers and then the Dream Team, right? And then I think Orin. So the interesting thing about Last Warrior of Unigaya is that's all NPCs, right?
All except Oric and Sam.
They're players.
Yeah.
They're players.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
and
right.
Oric is in this, and then of course Wolf is. Wolf actually becomes a bigger character in the third and fourth book. You remember Wolf from the third book because Hiccup always rides him because Hiccup's too lazy to walk. And the thing about Oric is he's not really a team player, so he's around the group, but he goes and does his own thing. But he leaves Wolf with them because Wolf is a team player, and Wolf and the goblins like love each other.
Right.
So yeah, it's a fun dynamic there. And Yangu is back. Snowballs, the ice dragon.
Oh,
Ryuk's
right,
dragon.
Snowballs. Yeah,
but he doesn't talk. You don't have to worry about that.
Right.
He's a quiet.
What about Mirror? Did Mirror?
Mirror makes an appearance too, dude. I put every motherfucker I could, except basically Stratagodsic because he's dead. Mir does make a quick appearance. She kind of gives she kind of does some dragon fighting alongside Snowballs.
Yeah, Last Warrior of Unigaya has a special place in Soundbooth theater history. It is the first audiobook to be branded with the Soundbooth theater label.
And it's the first one you did with Annie.
With Annie, yep.
Yeah.
So that's a very special one for us, and that one's already got an omnibus. That was a trilogy, and that's still selling. Last Warrior of Unigaya is still selling well, and then Monster Hunt is the fourth series that we've done in the Proxima Galaxy.
Yep.
Right, and Cherry Blossom Girls kind of counts.
Yeah, but it just doesn't count the same way. Yeah.
Yeah, not in the same way. It's sort of like more of a meta nod to the Proxima Galaxy. It's in the same universe, but they don't really interact with anybody there.
And with Monster Hunt, so just so people know, so the third volume is coming out this year,
Yes,
and
this year.
Hiccup is in that one as well.
Yeah,
Hiccup
yes.
and Spew Gorge. So if you remember the goblin that Jeff was doing that kind of has like the high pitched squeaky voice, that's Spew Gorge. He's never part of the Mythificers, but he has to appear in every book somehow.
Yeah,
It's
he comes in book 2 of Monster Hunt.
yeah. Now he is part of that team though. He is
Yeah,
part of
that's right.
their
Yeah, he's
team.
one
Yeah.
of their Mythcrea.
Yeah. Exactly.
So yeah, definitely, guys, check out everything
Check this one.
that's connected
Proxima
here.
Legends.
I would love it if we had like some kind of, we're doing our cinematic audio series now. We could maybe do something that's very episodic with that. I'd love to have some kind of serial with that going.
Yeah,
At some
I got
point.
some ideas too. Because the thing is like, and this is kind of up to you readers and listeners as well. Like these are these are passion project. This is a passion project type of thing for me. It's like one of those things like it's not my best selling stuff, but it's the stuff that I way prefer to write. It's the stuff that I'm like telling my wife about. It's stuff I'm like texting Jeff about like daily. Like, oh my god, look at this, because it's fun to do. And so that comes out, I think, especially once you read the second volume, when you see what we pull up at the end, it really comes out. And we love to continue that stuff. It's just I have to find something else that keeps the car going while I'm doing this kind of thing.
Exactly.
But I think this has a place, and I think we've seen with the feedback loop that because Fantasy Online always sold better than the feedback loop.
Right.
It always sold better, and it's more in genre. And I think there's a place for it now. I don't think anything really out there is like it. I'm not saying that to for my own ego. It's just it's a weird thing. It's cyberpunk, it's JRPG, it's fantasy, and it's portal fantasy, and but it's not. It's just a different vibe, and yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, I think what's really special about all of your Proxima stuff is just the richness of the characters. Like they really stand out, and even if I weren't the one voicing them, they are very particular, very, very fleshed out characters that you can really relate to. Number one, or that are just so far out there that it's a freak show, and like either one, I'm on board for as a reader and a listener. So.
I cannot. I am so, dude. You cannot. I can't even describe to everyone that's like watching this. Like when so in November, Jeff and I met, and I drove to Vegas because we went to an author convention there, right? And along the way, I had told him a year before, like, we're going to do Proxima Legends, we're going to do this. I'm going to listen to the third book then, and I'm listening to it, and my first thought was like, I started listening to it, I'm like, I'm going to hate this, and realize that I've committed to something that I shouldn't have, or maybe this is like doesn't have like the same vibe it should have, or whatever. And I was like, oh my god, this is like, because when you listen to something you've done but like years and years out, you can see tidbits of like what was actually unique about it, or does it pass the sniff test basically? And I'm like, my wife and I were driving through the Southwest just cracking up because I had forgotten all this. So it's not like I wrote it anymore. I literally, I mean, like Jeff is like, when he's saying like, did this character do this? It's because literally 5 or 6 years have passed since we, visited these characters. And so I had forgotten most of it. So I was actually kind of getting a fresh listen. And I'm so stoked for people that have listened to things like Dungeon Crawler Carl, to basically anything Soundbooth has done to like jam this, because it's a different side of what Jeff can do. It's a different side of what I can do. If you don't know about me, I lived in Tokyo for like a year. And so I really infused that with this, and it's a cool vibe. And my favorite thing, and when you listen back this week and tell me if you vibe on this, when it goes back and forth between these worlds, it's really cool, because like the Tokyo world is so serious. I mean, we're talking like Yakuza, we're talking people are dying, we're talking like it's cyberpunk, it's dystopian in certain ways, and it's cool. And then it's like you jump into this fantasy world that's just like, hey everybody, and like it's crazy.
No, that's right. I remember that being a really cool element of the story, just how much of a tone shift it is to go back and forth from the real world to the Proxima galaxy, and like what is the cyborg's name? Ryuk's caretaker.
Hajime.
Yeah.
He's great. He's in this one, of course.
Dude, he was one of my favorite characters, and
he has his oblique quotes.
Yeah, and like the way that the Yakuza stuff is going down, and like the way that Hajime is like trying to keep him safe you know, and like you said, there's like no humor in the
No,
Japanese side. It's like it is
no,
serious shit. It is
especially Kodai stuff. I mean, Kodai stuff is like in the third book. It's like I'm
Kodai's the
kidnapping
brother,
the
right?
yeah the evil brother. He's like I'm kidnapping the rival of my gang rival's wife and I'm killing her. Like it goes from like we're fighting dwarves, flaming dwarves, to like he's literally broken into these people's homes with yakuza henchmen and is making a point like a mafia style statement. And
Yeah.
it's a vibe, man. And so I think that the listeners and readers that because lit RPG just keeps growing, I think they'll find something here that's like this is cool, and I'm stoked about that. Hajime is and still remains a badass. Hajime is cool,
Yeah.
um, and I also like that with the real world it's also interesting when Feetwix comes to Tokyo because he's in Tokyo in the
That's
third
right.
book, and so he's in Tokyo in the fourth book, and he adds this other element to it as well because he's still the same kind of person. That's what makes Feetwix so genuine. Like he's doing ad reads, but he is actually optimistic and cheerful, and he
Right.
adds like
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
flavor to it. And it's
Yeah. Yeah.
cool.
Exactly. That's one thing I also really like about Feetwix is he's such a pure person,
Yeah,
you know, and he's not just funny, right? Like he's like he's good, you know,
we're
and
talking
he's
about this guy on the cover. It's the author's
oh
the
no,
seal is breaking it. This seal is just because it's an author copy, but if
he
you look at the cover of the real book, that's him.
he looks so much more buff than I imagined him
Yeah,
in,
he.
on that cover.
I really do like what this artist Richard Sashigane did for the cover though.
Oh right, Richard
It's
Sashigane. Yeah.
yeah, I really like it. He's a Japanese British artist, and he's done my Tokens and Towers book. And after he did those, I'm like, he told me he really liked to do crazy things, and I'm like, do you really? Because I've had this idea for Proxima Legends, and I don't really know other artists who could do this as well. I mean, there are people, but you have to know like the backstory and kind of get the vibe. And so I'm like, well, you're in Japan, so this is like what Ryuk's character. And I gave him a character breakdown, and I showed him all the other covers, and I'm like, especially this goblin, like because he's really good at making these like weird, like ugly faces and stuff. I'm like, this goblin is just the worst, and he's always drinking potions, and so that's why Hiccup is down here in the bottom, just chugging away. Like, I really like what he did with it, and I really like the audiobook cover that you guys came back with is great. What Sean did, Sean's my font artist here.
Mm-hmm.
The way he cut this apart, because the original cover is just completely pink. They're fighting cherry blossom ninjas, which is from the first book. And so what I did with Richard is I told him, okay, so that you want to do something crazy. Here are some of the fight scenes from this book. They fight like a Baradillo. They fight whatever. And I'm like, what do you want to do? And he's like, oh, cherry blossom ninjas for sure. And for the second book, I did the same thing. I'm like, okay, well, here's what they fight in the second volume. They fight like flaming zombie dwarfs. And he's like, oh, okay, yeah, flaming zombie dwarfs sounds cool. So, if there isn't ever a third volume, it would be the same guy, and it would be the same, like, here's all the crazy fight scenes. Which one do you want to do? Because I think that's the way to do it.
Jake pulled out the hashtag Feetwix rocks.
Dude, Jake, you have gotten the signed copy. You're getting this one right here. Okay, Jake? And I got stickers too. I would show them, but they're somewhere else, and I don't want to get up right now.
Yeah.
So I'll send you. I'll get your address later, Jake. This guy has been a Fantasy Online supporter for years. Uncle Goblining all of my posts, like Uncle Goblin. Okay, Uncle Goblin is coming. So.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Jake.
Yes.
And is there anything else you wanted to cover today, Harmon?
Oh yeah, for sure. We said we give away some audio codes, so we'll
Great.
just pick some people from who've left comments. I know Jay wanted one, so we'll give Jay one. And
How many do you have?
I think Geneva has the codes from you guys, and I'm doing a giveaway right now in the Lit RPG books page. I'm going to pick winners tomorrow. If you missed that one, the Lit RPG Reddit page, I'm going to do a giveaway tomorrow. Friday, I'm going to do a code giveaway on the Lit RPG page, Alaron's page. So, we're trying to blow this up because we both like doing it, and we want you to hear and read what's going on here because it's fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm
Super
so
fun.
stoked for another Fantasy Online. It's been too long. It's been a long time coming. So all right. So do you want people to just shout out in the messages?
Yeah,
Like
we can do
say
that and
something
pick
in
some
the
up.
comments. Oh wait, we have some private chats back here.
There's Scott. Yeah, Scott has been bothering me to finish this series since 2018. So Scott, you've got what you planned.
Yeah.
It's one of those series, man, that people like. If it infects your brain, like it's hard to get out of it. And so, yeah, I'm excited for those readers that have wondered, like, why isn't there another one? You know.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Anybody else in the crowd want to request an audiobook code? Now
Yeah.
is your opportunity.
Yeah, we'll stay on for another minute or two here. So, anybody wants an audiobook code, we're talking about Proxima Legends, and I cannot wait for you guys to get to Volume 2. I'm stoked for all the people that are going to check out Volume 1. I'm also stoked for the people that have given us a chance with the feedback loop, who see this big credit, and be like, okay, yeah, it's worth it, because it is 22 hours, almost 23 hours. It's a big one, and it's madness. You know, it's just fun.
It is total madness. One of the reasons I love working with Harmon, man, like, he always writes shit that's out there and fun to explore. The real reason that fantasy exists is so that we can explore completely ridiculous ideas.
Jay mentioned something. We can go out on this too, which is kind of different. And I don't mention this enough because there's a lot of stuff that's different. You know, we don't go over everything. But one of the cool things is the main character is Ryuk. He doesn't operate as your typical main character. So he doesn't operate like he's kind of, and Jeff and I have talked about this extensively. He's kind of observing everyone else operate. Mm-hmm. And that's his style. But his weapon system is really cool. So he starts off with marbles, and they're like different marbles that he puts out that do different things. And you see this progress over the series until he has some like pretty sick weapons. But at first it's the stupidest weapon.
Yeah.
You know, he can't really do anything about it. Like, and that's why Hiccup nicknames him Marbles. He's just like calls him Marbles, right? So I think people will appreciate that, because again, using a slingshot as a weapon, but having different things you can load into it, it's just a different vibe. It's very cool. Yes, whoever that Facebook user is. If you like the feedback loop, I'm pretty sure I can say if you like the feedback loop, you will dig this.
Yeah,
it's in the same wheelhouse. It's also first person, so it's in that same, or it's present tense.
Present tense.
Present tense. Yeah, not first person. Present tense, and quantum's in it. So if you like quantum, well, yeah.
Yeah. He's not in Volume 1, is he?
He is not in Volume 1. However, Doc is in Volume 1. Aiden, Morning Assassin, is in Volume 1. Mir is in Volume 1. Oh, it shouldn't have a lot of speaking parts. Sophia is in Volume 1. Those people are definitely in Volume 1.
Yeah, you know, one thing that I really enjoyed about doing all these Proxima books is I was very careful to make sure that even across books, I wasn't reusing the same voices.
Yeah, because they come back.
Everyone shows up in each other's books. No one else in the Proxima Galaxy sounds like Quantum or Ryuk. Even Ryuk, you know, has a unique voice. First character in the Proxima Galaxy I gave my voice to is Chase from Monster Hunt.
Yeah,
he's the only one, and so it's kind of cool how we like tied it together in that way.
And I got to compliment you on Ryuk's voice, because what Jeff does that's really interesting with Ryuk is, so Ryuk has different voices. And in the real world, he sounds like he does in the Proxima Galaxy. However, he's using, when he starts to meet Feetwix in the third book, and you'll remember this, Jeff, he doesn't speak English very well. And so he has to use like a translator, but it's a live translator as he's speaking, right? Yeah. And I did something cool for the fourth book. He actually resets his system, and he can't barely speak English at all. And so for just one chapter, it's not so much dialogue, but it shows you the difference, just how like precise Jeff is. He's precision with like, here's how he normally talks. Here's how he talks when he's speaking broken English. And now it's like, here, he can't even actually speak English. So this is how he's actually talking. And he's having to use Hajime to translate for him. And so there's a lot of levels of things like that are really subtle. So it should be fun.
I even forgot about that. And I'm glad that I'm listening to book 3 again so that I can.
Yeah, it'll help a lot with that. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. Jeff, we'll talk quickly after. Check it out. We're going to, Jiva says, we'll check back on the post in 24 hours and give everyone a chance to enter. So watch this or just comment, and you can get yourself an audiobook. And leave a review, please. That's what we need.
We need the reviews.
Reviews, yes.
All right, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Geneva, for running things behind the scenes. Thank you,
Geneva.
Lit RPG Legion, for hosting us.
Thank you, Emily, for cueing me. She understands that.
Yes. And I hope everybody enjoys the audiobook. Later, everybody.
Bye.